Okay, the Bitcoin correction has been continued further on towards the downside, and that came after, of course, we exactly got rejected by this very critical level in the market I discussed before. And I mean, I remain to be in my long trades right now because I think this is the ultimate opportunity we are currently seeing here in the market. If you, like me, like to trade big reversals, this is one of the better setups we're seeing. I mean, yes, there is close to zero downside liquidity, with a lot of liquidity being built up above us. We are seeing a clear reversal pattern getting created. We are seeing Bitcoin retesting an upward sloping daily support line. We are seeing an exact liquidity grab on the lower side right now. We're creating a big CME gap above us, and right now over the course of this weekend also another one. And of course, there is big news hitting the market I want to be discussing on today's update video. Of course, I want to be talking with you about my trades that are currently in a slight little loss here, and I just want to give a big update about what I'm currently doing with those trades here. So guys, make sure to watch this video till the end, because yes, today's update video is going to be absolutely critical to understand what is currently happening in this market. So without any further ado, don't forget to once again watch this video till the end, slap up that like button back above 1000 likes, will be highly appreciated, and let me jump straight away in today's update video. So first of all, Bitcoin of course has been trading in a slight little downtrend for the last period in the market, and one of the things I predicted ever since Bitcoin hit $180,000, and of course one of the things I said ever since Bitcoin hit $180,000 after the stop right here, I flipped bearish and I said Bitcoin is going to come back towards this green box right here. And of course I held my trades open, and of course I waited for a long time here, but of course I exactly predicted this correction towards the downside. And ever since we entered this green box here from $110,000, I have started to enter in towards long positions on Bitcoin, because I do think the bottom is very close right now for Bitcoin. And I still remain to be believing the exact same here, because if I also remove the green box there, guys, we are creating a very similar structure like previous times here. And of course, ultimately, if we're looking at the market, we're creating a falling wedge pattern with a clear resistance line from the top side right here, a clear downward sloping support line as well here, and of course this pattern is a falling wedge pattern, one of my favorite patterns to be trading, because falling wedge patterns are typical bullish bias reversal patterns. And of course I am betting on still this reversal towards the upside, and literally my trades, guys, I entered it from $110,000 all the way down towards about $109,000. So in this region I entered all my trades here. Like you can see over here, I entered all my trades between $110 and $109,000. And obviously, guys, what I am currently also doing and expecting is still that I am betting on a reversal back towards the upside. So yes, if I'm looking at the liquidity heat map, it makes a lot of sense. If I'm looking at the fractal from the Jackson Hole speech, of course, the pump and dump makes a lot of sense there. But obviously, it is going to let you think the market is going to come down further. But of course, if we clearly look at the liquidity heat map, the most of the downside liquidity is right now grabbed there, which is ultimately very bullish in my opinion. Of course, yesterday as well, I talked about the rejection of this very critical level. This was of course the scenario that we will be looking at, but of course, yeah, after we got that rejection from off that level, Bitcoin did saw this big major move towards the downside again here. But of course, I remain to be bullish. And one of the charts that also gives me a very interesting signal right now is the Bitcoin against the S&P 500 chart, because right now we are seeing this previous resistance flip into support. And if I'm looking also in 2025, earlier this year, and in 2024, a very similar structure occurred, and actually every single time we did saw that retest on that level, it was actually a very great time to be accumulating Bitcoin. So very excited that we're once again getting a similar opportunity. And obviously, guys, the consensus from the seasonality is that September is going to be a very bearish month here. Of course, right now in 2 days it's going to be September. People are getting afraid here, but of course, because so many people are afraid, there's a lot of short side liquidity being built up here, and ultimately that could be used as fuel towards the upside. And I do of course want to be mentioning the fact that if I'm looking at the 4-year cycle, we are literally moments away before officially topping out for Bitcoin according to history. I mean, And that is, of course, something to be paying attention towards as well here. And I will keep you guys up to date whenever this top is going to be for sure in here. But maybe the top is already in for Bitcoin, or maybe we are extremely close. But of course, I discussed it many times before on my channel as well here. And that is, of course, that I am, of course, officially already worried quite a long time for Bitcoin that the top is very close here. Because what we are seeing right now is somewhat of a parabolic structure with, of course, a bearish divergence on the top side. So Bitcoin is losing clearly strength here, and the top is so much closer than most people think here. But of course, I do still think we're going to get a slight little run higher before ultimately we're going to be topping out here. So guys, make sure to subscribe to the channel, make sure to pay attention, because of course whenever I'm going to be flipping fully bearish, I will let you know here. But of course, I've warned you already so many times about the structure, but we are going to see one slight little uptick still here in the M2 money supply here, which gives me also the feeling that we are still going to see a slight little bounce here before we're ultimately going to be falling lower. So I'm still betting on this reversal like we're seeing on the falling wedge structure. I will be taking aggressive profits whenever we are, of course, are breaking above the $117,000 level. So I'm going to keep you guys up to date exactly about that strategy. I will keep you guys up to date exactly about the CME gap that I still also believe we're ultimately going to be filling up, because if we're looking back at the last 40 CME gaps, guys, they always get filled up here. And there's right now also very big news here, and that is that Trump's global tariffs are deemed illegal by federal courts. And now this is going to get passed through to the Supreme Court. And they will at least remain active till October the 14th, because then the Supreme Court is going to be ruling whether it is allowed what they're doing or it's totally not here. So there's going to be some very big volatility coming up also in October. So make sure to be paying attention towards it. But of course, if the tariffs go away, it ultimately will be very bullish for all markets. So very interesting on how that's going to be playing out there. Of course, if we're looking at the Federal Reserve interest rate decision, which is going to be happening in 18 days here, we're still expecting an 86% chance that we're going to see a rate cut. So looking very much forward towards that for sure. And of course, ultimately, guys, my trades, most of them are currently in a major loss here. But ultimately, guys, I'm still betting on the continuation towards the upside. My Ethereum trade is still in more than 600k in profit. I'm betting on the reversal, and that is why I'm holding these trades right now still open. Because yes, if Bitcoin is going to be breaking below this support line right here, I am going to start to worry. That is what I also said on yesterday's video. But as long as we hold on towards this level, I think the market is still looking quite okay here. So yeah, Bitcoin is creating a falling wedge pattern. This is a typical reversal pattern. I've seen it so many times before here. So I'm still betting on this pattern with my current ongoing trades here. So that is the updates on my current trades here. Then of course, looking at the ETF here, yesterday we had a negative day here of inflows, but purely if we're looking at the entire month here, we saw over $4 billion worth of inflows on the spot Ethereum ETF, and the Bitcoin ETF saw about $600 million of outflows last month here. So this is, of course, interesting stats here. Ethereum is still the popular asset. And of course, also one of the charts I mentioned many times before here. Whenever we did broke below this level of support, we also dumped about $200 lower. But of course, ultimately, what I'm going to be looking at, for Ethereum is, of course, this major level of support, right? This is a big level of support for Ethereum. If we can hold on towards it, it's going to be very great here. But of course, it is also going to be slightly depending on what Bitcoin obviously is going to be doing here. So of course, for Ethereum compared to Bitcoin, the chart is still looking very strong here. I do still think we're going to get a run higher, especially if we look at the Bitcoin dominance chart and just purely look at where we're currently standing in the cycle. It makes a lot of sense that we're still going to get that final run here in the last 2 weeks, or what is it, last 6 weeks of that cycle, right? So we're right now entering that last 6 weeks of the cycle, and also in 2017, the last 4 weeks of the cycle is where basically the Bitcoin dominance dropped about 50% here. So that is where the real altcoin season came here. So yeah, truly still betting on it quite heavily. Of course, if you also look at the others compared to Ethereum chart, you can clearly see there's a big rotation about to happen towards major altcoins, but most traders are still ignoring this fact here. And you can see it also if you're going to compare the Russell 2000 towards the Total 3. They look very similar, and they're both creating a very bullish cup and handle scenario. So ultimately, the altcoin market is looking very strong right now here, but of course, Bitcoin just has been a little weak most recently, but I do think this is going to be ending fairly shortly for the market. So Guys, this was it for me in today's update video. Obviously, I do want to be mentioning the fact that if you are interested in trading just like I am doing, guys, check it out in the first link of today's video description, because you will get a 25% fee rebate on the WeX exchange here. And on top of that, guys, don't forget to join the private group here, which you can join in the second link in today's video description, to stay up to date on the trades here, and of course to also discuss with 5 other professional traders where the market is heading towards, and of course more trading setups. So guys, if you're interested in that, don't forget to check it out in the link description of today's video. Anyways, subscribe to the channel, slap on the like button, and peace out. Goodbye.